Welcome back, everybody, to the Below Average Joe's MMA podcast, episode number 88. We're back, the end of another week, with another preview episode, this time for hashtag UFC Vegas 24, which is headlined by a big title implication fight here at middleweight. Robert Whittaker, the former champion, going up against Kelvin Gastelum, the man who's fought for an interim belt before, been there, done that with the best of them.
The fight over 2 years in the making.
Yeah, and
is upon us.
I'm very excited about this fight. It's weird, Kelvin being on that 3-fight skid he was just on. 2020 not his year, and yet he gets a big bounce back over Ian Heinisch, who's a good opponent, but now all of a sudden, that one win was enough to make me think that he can be competitive in this fight.
Yeah, he looked really good in that fight, to be fair.
It
showed off a lot of his grappling, which we haven't seen in a long time. So
it's just strange because that was definitely a step back compared to who he was fighting before.
Yeah.
Because he lost to Adesanya in one of the best fights of all time. Got outpointed by Darren Till, and then had a really weird loss to Jack Hermanson. So he takes a step back, fights Ian Heinisch, who's a little more unproven. Wins convincingly, good win. But now, that in all fairness, that probably shouldn't be answering all the questions. Is Kelvin really back to the Kelvin we saw against Adesanya?
Yeah.
Yet, I feel confident that he is. It's weird. And I feel like this fight's going to be a lot more competitive than the originally scheduled bout, even though Paulo Costa was a much higher ranked opponent than Kelvin is.
It's a good point to make. I can't wait for this fight. Really can't.
Yeah, but I guess we just kind of got straight into the fight talk now.
Yeah, but we got to rear back because we got a couple things to discuss.
Yeah, and before we dig in too deep, it's time for the news.
The news.
Decent amount of news going on this week.
And some
it kind of all hit at once,
too.
It
did.
In the last couple days. Starting on May 8th. This one's definitely a big one for that lightweight division. Diego Ferreira going up against Gregor Gillespie. Two guys who came back in 2020. Ferreira on the opposite end of a very good fight with Beneil Dariush.
Great fight.
While Gregor Gillespie kind of getting a big bounce back.
Yeah, he had his fight scrapped with Brad Rydell a couple weeks ago.
For some reason, I thought he won.
It just got scrapped.
I forgot about that.
Look at the fight he's getting instead.
I know. For some reason, I was thinking in my head that he had won in 2021. But you're right. That fight was scrapped. And
so he still hasn't fought since the Kevin Lee fight.
Oh, man. That's interesting. But, Diego being the one who's fought this year, fought most recent, coming up on a very tough loss to Dariush. What should we expect from this kind of encounter? I will say I expect a lot of grappling.
Yeah, I was going to say this is going to be kind of a grinded out style. But again, when we get two high-level grapplers, sometimes you just get an all-out slugfest on the feet. And we've seen Diego is not afraid to slug it out. If you're fighting on the feet with Beneil Dariush, you got some kahunas. And Gregor is still solid on the feet. Don't let the knockout loss to Kevin Lee fool you. That was still one of the most beautiful combinations that we've ever seen, and especially that Kevin Lee has ever landed in his career. But yeah, we could see a very grapple-heavy style here. Diego, the submission specialist. Gillespie, a guy that will just grind you out, almost the Habib-type style of pressure and wrestling. So this should be an interesting matchup here. And big implications. To
me, on paper, I got to think that Gillespie's going to be the aggressor. He's going to be the one that's stronger, going to look to put Ferreira up against the cage, get those double legs and take him down. Ferreira's really going to have to just kind of find his openings on the ground, even if he's on his back, and look for the kind of submissions to escape and maybe switch the position. It's really going to be a chess match, in my opinion. Probably a fight that not enough people would appreciate.
Well, dare I say, these are the two most underrated and underappreciated fighters in the lightweight division.
You're probably right.
And they're fighting each other.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I think this could be a fight that really goes under the radar for those reasons. And, it's just... But the way the fight should go, that really interests me. If it stays on the feet, though...
Yikes.
Shoo,
Don't know what's going to happen.
Don't know what's going to happen there. But that's happening on May 8th. Moving on. PFL news here. June 10th on ESPN2, Clarissa Shields is making her MMA debut against Brittany Elkin.
The world champion boxer, the baddest woman in boxing right now, making the transition over. Been training at AKA with John Jones, Michelle Watterson, all those fellows
Holly
over there. Holly Holm.
Yeah.
And now, here it is. Really, honestly, wasn't expecting her to debut this fast. They just announced they got her in 2020 not long ago.
Yeah, she's only been training. When this fight happens, she'll probably have been training, at least to our knowledge, for about 8 months.
8 months, I was going to say, yeah.
And, that's not a lot of time. Obviously, she's got the world-class boxing.
But there's a lot more.
There's going to be a lot of holes elsewhere. But she's going up against Brittany Elkin, who is not a high-level opponent. I believe you said she was 3-6 professionally in MMA. I know we didn't want to harp on that too much because this is the kind of opponent you should match her up against.
Yeah, that's
she
true.
does have an elite skill.
Yes.
But elsewhere, she's going to be quite the novice in MMA. So for Brittany Elkin, should theoretically have an advantage in some of those other aspects. And they should be able to test her in some of those, that grappling, jiu-jitsu, things like that. But if the fight stays on the feet, I mean,
we probably
Clarissa Shields all day, probably.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how she responds with some kicks and some clinch work.
You know what, though? ESPN2, that's a great showcase to kind of, this is your big signing, get her in front of an audience,
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're going to, people that are fans of boxing, or even if they're not, a lot of people know Clarissa Shields
People will tune in, yeah.
And you have her on ESPN2, a lot of people are going to tune in, they're going to see that PFL is the one that has her. It's going to bring a lot of fans over, I would think.
Yeah. Also, I just want to apologize quickly. I misspoke. She trains at Jackson Wink in Albuquerque, New Mexico, not AKA.
Oh.
there's a lot of camps out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of camps.
Either way, she's at a great camp, so I'm very excited to see how much she's progressed with all those studs out there and how she's going to respond under the bright lights in MMA. So, shout out Clarissa Shields. Let's get into it.
Cool. June 11th,
Ooh.
Bellator 260. Douglas Lima, one of the best Bellator fighters in the world of all time. What a legacy that guy's left.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, still their welterweight champion, even though he did try to go up for champ, lost in his effort there. He's back, though, looking to make another defense of that welterweight title.
But oh my.
Yaroslav Amosov. This man, I hope I said his name right, but this man is terrifying.
25 wins, 0 losses. What are some of the other credentials you mentioned to me, Noah? Pretty solid fighter.
Three-time world champion in Sambo. The man's trained out of a ATT. He's got it.
Oh, yeah. This is a tough test.
This is a 27-year-old from Ukraine. The dude, number 1 ranked Bellator welterweight. If anybody's going to beat Douglas Lima in that welterweight division, this is the guy.
I'll be interested to see how that plays out stylistically, too.
Well, you got to look at the finishing
rounded.
rates for these guys is also really something that strikes out at me. Because Douglas Lima, 32-8, obviously the experience.
So many fights.
26 wins via finish.
Crazy.
While for Yaroslav, he's 25-0, 19 wins via finish.
Wow.
And his is very even. 9 by knockout, 10 by submission. This is a Sambo world champion.
Yeah, man. That is such an incredible fight from Bellator to make. I'm very excited and intrigued to see how that plays out. Again, Bellator making huge moves in 2021. This is a very fun title fight. I can't wait to see that in June.
Yeah, he's 6-0 in Bellator also. So, he's beaten guys like Eric Silva that stick out to me. Last fight, a split decision win over Logan Storley. Maybe his record might be a little inflated just by the fact that he's pretty much, before Bellator, only fought in the Ukraine and Russia.
Right.
Not that that's not a good market, but it's just a very niche.
It's always a step up.
Yeah. He doesn't have, he hasn't been fighting all around the world until he came to Bellator. And, he's scary, though. This should be a lot of fun, I would like to think. And it's going to be, this is Douglas Lima, man, who's got wins over Rory McDonald and Michael Venom Page.
Oh, yeah.
And this yet is probably going to be the toughest test for him at welterweight in his career.
At least as a title defense, you know?
I mean, sure, he lost the belt to Rory McDonald at one point. This is not, this is a guy who's multiple-time champion. But it seems like, he got the Rory loss off his back with the win back in October 2019. Last time we saw him was October 2020 with that loss to Gegard Mousasi in middleweight.
In a lackluster fight.
A fight he just had nothing for.
Yeah.
Mousasi was just too big.
Yeah, I think the size did play a factor. So it'll be fun to see Lima back down in his natural weight class as well. Looking to defend his title again. By the way, for MMA as a whole, look at that weekend. June 10th, Clarissa's debut. June 11th, we got Lima at Bellator 260. And then June 12th, is freaking Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno 2 on Saturday.
I didn't even think about that.
That's a weekend right there.
Yeah, very much looking forward to this one, though.
And we got a GOAT to talk about next.
Yes, we do. August 7th, UFC 265. Amanda Nunes is back to her old ways. This time going to be defending that women's bantamweight title against Juliana Pena.
Juliana called her shot. She's getting it. I respect it.
Oh, that call out was something.
Man, and she's had the interview she's had with Ariel Helwani. She is so confident. You got to be confident they're going into a fight against Amanda. If you're going in to a fight with Nunes with the mindset of, I made it to the title shot and that's good enough, you're already defeated. At least she's going in confident, feels she has the skill set to cause problems. I respect it. She's done pissed off the line.
I definitely respect that she's at least gotten some hype around this fight. We have to understand, though, that we started this podcast about 8 months ago. In that time, we have seen Juliana Pena lose via submission to Germaine Durandamy. First time Germaine Durandamy ever won via submission. Pena's not perfect. She did have a bounce back win, but that's all we've seen from her.
And it was a fight she was losing for 2 rounds.
Yeah.
2.5 rounds.
So, once you really look at it, I'm hesitant to really give her too much of a chance, but it's a fresh face.
Fresh matchup.
And Amanda wants to stay active. This is the kind of fight she's going to take, and someone who's really talking the talk.
It's going to bring out the best in Amanda, which is terrifying.
I mean, think about her previous fight with Megan Anderson. Megan, not someone who talked a lot of smack, but yet Amanda came in 2 minutes later, walking out with the belt. She got
hit twice.
Yeah. Was it even twice?
Technically, 2 punches landed, but I didn't even see them land.
Yeah, that's just...
If that tells you
that
anything.
was a woman who...
Has legit one-shot knockout power. So, Amanda's just on another level. But, hey, we've seen miracles and underdog upsets happen before.
This is an overused comparison, but she's Tyson-esque.
Yeah, at this point.
At this point, you're tuning in to just see how long the opponents can last.
I mean, she's really approaching the Demetrius Johnson title defense numbers, Anderson Silva, John Jones. Like, she's going to keep grinding. This will be like her 8th or 9th.
Two different divisions.
Doing stuff we've never seen before. She's a GOAT for a reason. Nevertheless, no matter how that fight plays out, I'm excited for it.
The following month, UFC 266, September 4th.
September?
I'm like, we're already talking about September. Can we get through April?
Yeah.
Like, this is a long time away.
I know, and this fight is awesome.
It is. The UFC light heavyweight belt is on the line. Jan Blachowicz is back. This time going to be defending against Glover Teixeira, the rightful number 1 contender.
The winner can solidify themselves as having the best career resurgence in UFC history. A lot on the line here for these two guys, huh?
You really think?
The battle of the old men. Jan Blachowicz, 38. Glover's going to be like 42, 43 coming into this fight. I absolutely love everything about this storyline here. Two guys that never gave up, especially for Jan, now a champion, was once going to on the brink of getting cut, now is on an absolute tear, finishing everybody, beating Israel Adesanya. Glover has fought for the title in the past, got dominated, had his ups and downs, but now he's on an absolute tear, finishing guys as well. Absolutely love everything about this fight. I wish we didn't have to wait until September to see it, but I am just glad to see Glover get that one final shot at the coveted UFC belt. And stylistically, it's a pretty fun fight.
I completely agree with you. These are the two guys, you're right, when you're talking about career resurgence, because these are the two guys that I always joke about as the guys that I counted out every step of the way.
And now you got to pick one of these two now.
I got to get the monkey off my back.
You're damned if you do, damned if you don't in this one.
Yeah, so it's
you can just pick a draw.
These guys have definitely been a bit of a bane of my existence for a while.
And I think someone's going to get finished in that fight too. I know we're so far away. But
it's tough to call, man. It's Jan just seems to look better and better each fight.
Really does.
His last fight with Adesanya, a fight most people really thought he didn't give him much of a chance in, including my fucking self again.
And in Glover's last fight against your boy
Thiago Santos
got injured twice bad in that fight, fought through it, and then finishes Thiago.
Same with Anthony Smith before that with Glover.
Man.
Anthony Smith, that was one of the first fights in this kind of COVID timeline.
Yeah. That dude's
Anthony
a Terminator.
Smith comes out,
beat the shit out
of Glover for about a round and a half. Gasses. Glover
put it on.
Tortures him for about 3 rounds.
Knocked his teeth out and everything.
Yeah, Jason Herzog, man.
That was bad.
That's a tough scene. But I'm excited to see these two guys getting this kind of shine.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome.
Do I know if the fight's going to be great? No. Do I know who's going to win? No. But, and like, do either of these guys... realistically, do I see them being like champions for multiple more years? In Glover's case, definitely not. I definitely feel like Glover has like a year left at most.
Mm-hmm.
Jan that guy just looks crazy.
They're aging like fine wine.
Yeah. Glover doesn't even look that great.
Yeah.
He just somehow keeps winning. Jan does look like a stud. Don't get me wrong.
True.
But it's just what anomalies these guys are. You know, Robbie Lawler, one of my personal favorite fighters, and this is so familiar to Robbie Lawler's return to the UFC.
I love it, man. That's such a feel-good story of a title fight.
Yeah, well, we've pushed it off long enough. The biggest news coming out of this week.
It's official.
As for the rest, well, it's not even about it being official. We're talking about the other stuff. Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier.
First and foremost, let's just get the quick details done.
Oh, God.
We already talked about it, but it's happening July 10th. UFC 264, confirmed now in Las Vegas. Full capacity crowd, T-Mobile Arena. The first time fans are returning to Vegas. Okay, that's out of the way.
Okay. I'm a little more excited now.
Yeah.
Now, do you want me to explain it, or...
It just seems to me like we got some Mystic Mac action coming back into play. Some old.
Do you want
Conor
me to
McGregor.
explain what's going on?
Go on, yeah.
Okay.
Because you were, but now you're.
Yeah, I was very on this fight a week ago.
Say less now.
And then now I'm like, okay, you have me a little bit.
You're tickling my fancy.
You got me a little bit. So. Essentially, where do I even begin?
Well, and a lot of this is he said right now.
Who started the exchange?
Dustin started it. Well, technically, Conor did by predicting a finish.
Oh, yeah. He said, what did
he said a 4th round front kick to the face knockout. And did a video of how he was going to do it.
Okay. And then
Dustin responds.
Dustin responded, said...
Cool prediction, man.
Cool prediction. Kind of like...
You predicted your donation.
You predicted a $500,000 donation to my foundation, and yet after the fight...
We've reached out and we haven't heard from you.
Your team went silent.
And I went, oh.
And the world just kind of paused and waited for Conor's response.
Because it happened in like the evening time in the U.S., so Conor's asleep in Ireland while this is happening, you know. So
Conor's response,
it's the Conor of old.
It was
you inbred hillbilly looking ass.
Well, first it wasn't even that. It was.
Look, I gotta find some of these.
Yeah, his first response was kind of like he knows where every dollar goes.
Yeah, he's very.
So basically, he kind of worded it to where it sounded like. He tried to make it sound like Dustin's people weren't really telling him maybe where the money was going to go.
Yeah.
and therefore...
That's what I'm saying, kind of like where the he said
Yeah.
start. Like, I don't know.
But then Conor would go on to...
Yeah, so Conor said it's a donation, not a debt. We've been awaiting the plans, yada, yada, yada. Then Dustin responded, yeah, it's not a debt you offered, we accepted. Then he says again how his team does their due diligence, and also there was the Inbred Hillbilly tweet as well. Then he said some crazy shit to Ariel, like, Conor's back and I'm going to rip the asses of everyone in the division, or I don't know. It just seems like Conor
just seems really mad right now.
Yeah, I don't know. And then he posted a very cool new profile pic of him looking like a kindergartner waiting for the bus. It was just so funny because he randomly snuck it in there.
Yeah.
And then a day after he said the fight was off and he's going to look for another opponent, it gets us.
I'm glad that we didn't talk about this because I think we both kind of knew that Conor just kind of plays these games, but did you really expect this fight to be off even when he was kind of saying it was?
No.
I really thought, like, okay,
I think he was
it's just him blowing off smoke.
It's look at the hype around this fight now. There was already so much hype around it to begin with. The quote, by the way, he told Ariel, I signed my bout agreement this morning. I'm going to rip this game a new asshole July 10th. The Mac is back in Sin City, full house.
That's a quote.
Yep, there it is. Listen, again, we said how it's kind of a weird trilogy because the first fight happened 7 years ago by the time this happens, and then the second one happened in January of this year. Now this one's going to happen in July. It feels more like a rematch rather than a trilogy, but they are one apiece. Again, if you weren't excited for this already, now there's just even more intrigue to it because what are we going to see come fight week and the leading in is, are they going to tone it back down to the respectful stuff? Is Conor going to go buck wild? Like, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting in the fight itself. Again, they both finished each other the first two fights. Would love a 5-round war to finish the trilogy, man, just like Stipe and DC. So
I agree. And, again, I'm not someone who necessarily only gets interested in fights when there's like shit talking going on. But I will say in this instance, it definitely helped matters because this whole
it's just Conor.
Something
man.
About this trilogy just hasn't really, and like you mentioned, has part of it's got to do with the time gap. But it does at least interest me when you start seeing these guys, and people have been saying that like this is all manufactured for fight promotion. But I'm sorry, if these guys wanted to build the fight, there would be easier ways to do it
than the donation and the charity.
I mean, this really makes Conor look bad.
Oh, he was pissed.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And not only that, but his way to try to come back is to kind of question the legitimacy of the foundation. It doesn't make anybody look good.
That's very true.
That's why, like, I have a hard time believing that this is fight promotion.
Also, since Dustin has pulled back on that statement a little bit, at least apologizing for taking it public, which leads me to believe there was way more stuff going on in the back end that we just didn't see. So I have no doubt that the money is actually going to get transferred.
It didn't make Dustin look good either.
Yeah, they both just look bad in it. But
it's definitely probably better to just kind of move on from it.
Yeah.
But it will at least make fight week very interesting when these two get face to face.
You're no longer meh, right? Is that fair?
I'm slightly above meh.
Okay, fair enough. Let's get into some fights.
Yeah, let's get into some fights, man. So, again, headline, big fight at middleweight, Robert Whittaker, Kelvin Gastelum. But we got 4 other fights to talk to you about.
Yes.
So, starting with our opener of the main card at lightweight, Luis Pena, Violent Bob Ross is back. Going up against Alexander Munoz.
I forgot that was his nickname.
Take it away.
That's a badass nickname, too. There's been a lot of them lately. Yeah, so this is an interesting lightweight bout. Luis Pena, the guy, by the way, is like 6'3". He's like one of the tallest lightweights, if not the tallest. Coming in here, he's 8 wins, 3 losses, 4-3 in the UFC. He's got 2 KO TKOs, 4 submissions. 2 of those finishes have come in the first round. Notable win against Steve Garcia via decision. Some notable losses to Matt Frivola via split decision. And a submission loss to Kama worthy. On the other end, Alexander Munoz is 6-1, 0-1 in the UFC, but he did win his fight on the Contender Series to earn that contract. He's got 2 KO TKOs and 1 submission. All 3 of those finishes have came in the first round. His win on the Contender Series was to Nick Knoll, the fighter that has
one arm.
Yeah, one arm. That was via decision. I think that was in 2018 when that happened. And then his only career loss was to Nasrat Haqparast.
Nice.
So,
AKA Kelvin Gastelum.
Right, they are twins. And that was his UFC debut. So he's coming off a loss here in this fight with Luis Pena. This is an interesting fight, but a very good matchup on both these guys' career-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you think this plays out? And the height of Luis Pena is always so intriguing to me, being a lightweight.
Agreed. Luis Pena, 6'3", fighting in the lightweight division.
Yeah.
He's a tall mug for that division. And his strengths tend to lie when the fight goes to the ground.
Yeah.
So he uses those long limbs to catch your arm or your head in a choke. Very good at doing that. You got Alex Munoz, who's very much kind of the unknown here. Not a whole lot of UFC experience. Is yet to win in the UFC if you don't count the Contender Series.
And this is a tough fight to come into after a loss, too, you know?
It really is. I don't know a ton about Munoz's style here, but I really do like Luis Pena.
The way he fights is so...
I just think that he's such a tough matchup for pretty much...
a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, Munoz is 5'9".
I mean, he's going to have a 6-inch height advantage. And the reach, obviously, is going to be significant as well.
So even if Munoz has an advantage on the feet,
good luck
it's not
trying
going
to
to be
get
a reach
the,
advantage.
Exactly, yeah.
So with all that being said, those intangibles, I'm going to have to go with Luis Pena.
He can tie up into the clinch with his length and get you to the ground so easy with that, you know?
And, I think he's kind of due. He's coming off a loss to Kama Worthy. I think he's due for a finish here.
Ooh.
I'm actually going to go Luis Pena via... I'll go first round submission.
Nice. For submission first round. I think this is going to be a very interesting fight, but I am leaning toward Luis Pena as well. I think it's going to be a tougher fight for him to get a finish. I think a guy like Munoz, however unproven in the UFC, still a tough guy with a 6-1 record. I think Pena gets it done with a decision victory. I think he grinds it out. I think he really showcases his skill set everywhere, especially on the ground, and that'll be where he finds his biggest advantages. I like that fight opening the card. I'm going Pena decision.
This next one shouldn't take long.
Holy moly.
Middleweight, Abdul Razak Al Hassan and Jacob Malkoun.
So, I love talking about Abdul Al Hassan, man. Yeah. He's 10 wins, 3 losses, 4-3 in the UFC, 10 KO TKOs. That's a 100% finish rate.
Ring the bells.
Ring the bells. And you know what? Let's sound the alarm next, because all 10 of the finishes, first round.
Bells,
whistles, alarms, whatever you want. Sound them. Notable win against Nico Price via KO. Notable losses: Omari Akhmedov via split decision, Munir Lazez via decision, and got KO'd. Oh, that fight against Chaos Williams. You knew someone was getting KO'd.
Nasty.
But Abdul came up on the short end of that one. And then for Jacob Malkoun, only 4-1 in his UFC debut. He lost. So he's 0-1 in the UFC. He has 2 KO TKOs. And again, that loss was to Phil Hall. So that's a tough debut. He did lose it via KO. Absolutely vicious. I will say Malkoun is kind of the protege of Robert Whittaker. They trained together. So I picked him, I think, to beat Phil Hall, if I'm not mistaken. That was at UFC 254 on the prelims. And I'm going with him again.
It was on the main card, actually.
It was on main card. Okay. That might have started the main card, I think, wasn't it?
No, it was like the third fight.
Okay. I'm going Malkoun. I'm picking him again. I was big on him in his debut. Obviously, he got brutally KO'd, but, he's going to bounce back here. I think it's going to be a tough fight. Al Hassan has got the one-punch power, and he's going to want to avoid it because he can put you to sleep. I think he actually grinds it out. I don't think this is going to be a finish. I think he's going to go 3 rounds here. Al Hassan has came up on the short end of 2 decisions out of his 3 losses. I think it's going to be another short end decision for Al Hassan. I'm going Jacob Malkoun via decision in a very fun fight, but I think he just outpoints him, to be honest.
So here's where I'm going to differ from you. obviously, I'm going to go the other way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm going to go with Al Hassan. But where we're going to differ very much is, you're right, 2 of his 3 losses, Al Hassan that is, are via decision. But those were both to guys who could take that power punch.
Oh, yeah.
Even that Munir-Lazez
That fight
fight,
was awesome.
that fight was crazy. I mean, the punches Lazez
That was the fight of
taking,
the night on that card.
Yeah, Lazez was taking a beating in the first round especially, and came back. And Akhmedov, that man's head is just nothing beats that man.
I feel like this fight to me is going to be similar to the Munir-Lazez fight.
Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. This is Al Hassan's debut at middleweight.
Yeah, a good point. I'm glad you pointed that out.
He missed weight his last 2 fights, moving up to middleweight. So he was probably gutting himself to get to 170.
He's rather short to be a middleweight, but he is thick.
He is. Phil Hawes is very much built the same way. Not a very tall man, but
strong and powerful.
And I think Malkoun, I get it. He's the protege. There's a lot of excitement around him. Man, I haven't seen it. I'm just going to be honest. I just haven't seen it. And
these are 2 tough fights to come into the UFC with.
I agree. And just because he loses, if he was to lose this fight, doesn't mean I don't think this guy is I don't think he's a scrub. But these are really tough fights for him to be. He's only 4-1 in his professional career. And he makes his UFC debut against Phil Hawes on the main card in Abu Dhabi, UFC
on a Habib card,
and got absolutely destroyed in 18 seconds. I don't know if I'm going to have the most confidence coming in here. So I'm really going to go with Al Hassan, round 1, KO TKO.
Oh, it's starting the night with 2 round 1 finishes.
I know.
I love it. That fight has potential to be a barn burner, but also just a quick knockout for both guys.
Malkoun could really come in here and make a statement, show no, I do belong. I'm here. And Al Hassan has, the Chaos Williams fight showed that maybe his chin's not as strong as you think.
And that punch, man.
But I'm definitely leaning towards going up a weight class, not gutting yourself to make weight.
Yeah.
Hopefully some of that's going to resolve itself.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him at that new fresh weight class. I'm glad you pointed that out. Can't wait for that one.
Now we're going up to some big boys.
Your boy.
My boy. Andre Arlovski.
He took this fight, by the way, on 2 weeks' notice, too.
Yeah, he did.
So what a badass.
Because he's a bad man.
This is going to be his 53rd professional fight.
He's going up against Chase Sherman, who's in his 2nd run in the UFC.
Yeah. And I've got quite a resume here for Arlovski. This son of a
Roll
bitch.
out the red carpet.
He's been on this podcast 3 times now. He's got to be one of the first, if not the first, to be on here 3 times.
I'm sure Kevin Holland's over.
Probably Kevin Holland, yeah. Andre Arlovski, 30 wins, 20 losses, 2 no contests. He's 19-14 with 1 no contest in the UFC. 17 KO TKOs, 3 submissions. 13 out of those 20 finishes have come in the first round. Notable wins. He's been doing it since we were wee lads, Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Sylvia via submission. Fabricio Verdun via decision. Defeated Ben Rothwell twice. Once via knockout, once via decision. He's KO'd Bigfoot Silva. He TKO'd Travis Brown. Decision win over Frank Mir and Stefan Struve. Decision win over Philip Lins. And also a decision win over Tanner Bozer, one of the bigger name prospects in the heavyweight division right now. Notable losses. He's got plenty of those as well. He had the trilogy with Tim Sylvia, so he got the best of him in the first one, but lost the last 2, once via TKO and once via decision in one of the worst title fights in UFC history.
Yep.
Got KO'd by Fedor Emelianenko, one of, if not the greatest, MMA heavyweights of all time, is what they say. Got a decision loss to Bigfoot Silva, a decision to Anthony Johnson, which is quite impressive because not a lot of people go to the distance with Anthony Johnson. Stipe Miocic TKO'd him. These next 5 here, by the way, all happened at once. This is a just horrific run for him. I feel bad for Arlovski.
Yeah.
Because they just paired him up with killers. Stipe TKO. Alistair Overeem TKO.
With a crane kick.
With a crane kick. Josh Barnett via submission. Francis Ngannou via TKO. And then Marcin Tybura via decision. At least there was one that wasn't a finish, right? Taitu Ivasa via decision. Shamil Abdurrahimov via decision. Had a split with Augusto Sakai that Noah likes to say he won.
I thought he did.
Right. He got KO'd by Jairzinho Rosenstruik and then submitted most recently via to Tom Aspinall, I should say, in his most recent outing.
Has there ever been a fighter on this podcast that's gotten more notable losses?
Probably not.
You literally just named
it. Well, it's 15. Him and Overeem. That's two absolute legends of heavyweight mixed martial arts.
That felt like that went forever.
Yeah. He's been there and done that with them all. And for Chase, it's the complete opposite, so I can just make up for time here. He's 15-6, 3-5 in the UFC, as Noah stated. Both of these guys have had 2 stints, respectively, in the UFC. Chase has 14 KO TKOs out of his 15 wins, which is quite scary, if you ask me, Noah. And 12 of those have came in the first round. He does have a notable win against Isaac Hurricane Ike Villanueva. That was via TKO. Notable losses to Walt Harris, Shamil Abdurrahimov, and Augusto Sakai, all 3 of those via KO TKO. I'm going to let you take it here as I get a drink because I'm a little long-winded.
To me, this fight is very easy to kind of pick a path to victory for each guy. Chase Sherman's the younger, the bigger, the more explosive and powerful fighter. He's going to be looking to land that shot. Arlovsky's chin, time and time again, has failed him. So that is always going to be, at this point, at his age, in his 40s, that's going to be Chase Sherman's route to victory. He has that power. He's proven it in the fact that you said 14 of his 15 wins, knockout. That's a very scary thing for Arlovsky. So what's he got to do? He's got to stay on the outside. He's got to pick his shots. If he has to get in close, clinch up, put Sherman up against the cage, grind him towards the later rounds, take him to those deep waters, that's going to be his route to victory here and kind of get a decision victory. Arlovsky, whether you like him or not, whether you think he should still be fighting in the UFC or not, this is why he's still here, because he takes these prospects and he
turns them away.
He's a guy who, when he was heavyweight champion, had the most powerful right hand in the business, but he's not that fighter anymore.
No.
Shoulder surgeries, age.
But he's grown with the time so much,
but he has evolved
Yeah.
into this fighter that really is very patient. He's not the most powerful fighter in the world anymore. He's not a guy, really in the heavyweight division, he's not the kind of guy to knock you out. He's really became a decision-focused fighter.
And before that loss to Aspinall, he was on a 2-fight win streak.
He's focused on winning the fight for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to beat you with one punch. He just needs to make it last for as long.
And he showed that with Aspinall even. He had a couple moments in that fight where he looked
I
good,
agree.
You know?
I agree he did. Aspinall, though, showed that he passed the test and that he's ready for that next step. I am not as confident in Chase Sherman to pass that test. Aspinall definitely has that one-punch power, too, and he wasn't even able to quite put out Arlovsky. Yeah, I know he submitted him second round. Who knows how that fight would have went if it continued. I'm going Andrei Arlovsky. It's a risky pick. It always is with Andre, but right when you kind of count him out is when he'll bounce back and get a big win. I'm just not super high on Chase Sherman. I know he's got the power, and that's a good bet to make. But when you look at the wins and losses that Arlovsky's traded, the guys he's lost to have usually gone on to big heights.
Yeah.
I don't believe Chase Sherman
has
is
that
one of those
ceiling.
guys. So I'm going Arlovsky via decision.
Well, no, you're really going to love this. Andrei Arlovsky, he's going to turn back the clock a little bit.
Oh, you think so?
I think he's going to look nice and crisp, coming in on short notice. Listen, he hasn't had a finish since he beat Travis Brown.
Wait, really?
Yes. But you know what?
Crazy.
Chase Sherman likes to get hit. Yeah. And he likes to get KO'd.
Mm-hmm.
Andrei Arlovsky's turning back the clock at UFC Vegas 24. He's coming in. He's going to look good. He's going to look sharp. The veteran expertise is going to show with a second round KO TKO for the Pitbull. Pull out the fangs, baby.
I was waiting for the catch in there.
No catch.
Because you have been giving me shit all week about me picking Arlovsky.
I just like giving you shit about your boy. That's all.
You know, but
I sent this to Noah on Twitter when the fight got announced. I said, no, tell him to stop. Tell him to stop taking these short notice fights against these young, hungry lions.
Yeah.
But you know what?
To me, that's probably the reason that he's still around.
He wants to prove points, I think.
Yeah.
I'm still a badass. He's going to show it.
You know what? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I thought you'd like that.
I was really holding off on getting excited about it because you kept going. I'm like, this is gonna be a catch. There's gonna be
like you did last week.
Like exactly what I did last week with Julian Marquez and Sam Alvey. But you didn't do that.
Nope.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, there we go.
But we're on to the co-main event.
A banger of a co-main. Another guy with a hell of a resume I got to talk about.
I'm so tempted to make this fight of the night, but I think I'm going to hold off for now.
Yeah.
Lightweight fight, Jeremy Stephens, Drakkar Klose. I mean,
all right.
Let there be blood.
Oh, there's going to be blood. Jeremy Stephens is 28-18 with 1 no contest, 15-17 in the UFC with 1 no contest, 19 KO TKOs, 2 submissions. That's 21 out of 28 via finish. 13 of those have came in the first round. Similar to Arlovski here, an absolute veteran of the UFC in the fight game. Notable wins, a KO over Rafael dos Anjos, decision over Darren Elkins, a TKO over Dennis Bermudez, decisions over Renan Barao and Gilbert Melendez, TKO'd Doo Ho Choi, KO'd Josh Emmett. But notable losses, there's a record that Jeremy Stephens holds. And it's the record of most losses in UFC history.
And I know a lot of people are going to say that. And shit
the
on
resume that this guy has fought nothing but killers
and
for like 15 years.
And they've all been fantastic fights.
And here's the list. Dean Thomas, the legend himself via submission, lost to Spencer Fisher via decision, got submitted by Joe Lozon, a decision loss to Gleison Tebow, a split decision to Melvin Gillard, a split decision with Anthony Pettis, a decision with Donald Cowboy Cerrone, got KO'd by Yves Edwards, a decision to Cub Swanson, decision to Oliveira, decision to Max Holloway, a split decision with Renato Moicano, TKO'd brutally with a body shot by Jose Aldo, lost the decision to Zabit and Yair Rodriguez, and most recently got KO'd by Calvin Kattar. Straight killers, man. This guy has fought nothing but the best for years. He's coming into this fight 5 fights in a row without a win. 2 losses, a no contest squeezed in between, and then 2 more losses.
Yep.
For Drakkar Klose, complete opposite in terms of the resume and experience here. 11-2-1. He's 5-2 in the UFC. 4 KO TKOs. 2 of those came in the first round. Notable wins against Mark. I always mispronounce this last name, but I'm going to try it anyway and butcher it. Mark Diak's.
It's Mark Jacasey.
Jacasey. Thank you. You're always good on that name.
Thank you.
That was a split decision win. He got a decision over Lando Venata and Bobby Green. Notable losses to David Tamor via decision and got KO'd by Benil Dayush. But man, is it just, has the clock began to run out for Jeremy Stephens?
Well, I'll put it like this. You look at
and he's coming back up to lightweight now.
Yeah.
So
you look at his record in the UFC. You see the record for the most losses. Yeah, of course that's gonna make you go, oh, maybe it's time to hang him up. Things, but I want people to look at this fight for what it is. Jeremy Stephens has not fought someone lower than like a 5 ranking in 3 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. This guy...
Now he's going up against Drakkar Klose, who is not ranked at all. This is that step back that he needs, but if he doesn't win here, it's probably the end of the road.
Yeah.
So, what are we going to see here? Well, I think it's going to be a banger for as long as it lasts. I think this fight's going to be really good.
Yeah, Drakkar Klose, very good, man.
Look, only 4 wins via finish and 11, but the guy always is in these really exciting, drawn-out 3-round wars. That fight with Benil Dariush, his last fight where he got KO'd in the second round, that fight was nuts. If that fight didn't happen 10 minutes before Joanna versus Wei Li, I think more people would recognize how awesome that fight is. But unfortunately, it was placed right before the best women's fight of all time. And then for Jeremy Stephens, like we've already mentioned, the man doesn't know how to be in a
boring fight, man.
Yeah, well, that's been his MO since he joined the UFC and even before the UFC.
That's got to be one of the most deadly resumes I've ever seen in UFC history.
Yeah.
It might be the most. I mean, even his wins, like, that's just insane, man.
And even in this losing streak that Jeremy Stephens has been on, you look at the Zabit fight, he was very competitive in that.
Mm-hmm.
The Yair Rodriguez fight, very competitive. Calvin Kattar fight, had his moments early on, did get finished.
That elbow was nasty.
Elbows.
But that's Kelvin Gastelum. He just fought Max Holloway.
These are top 5 contenders. Drakkar Klose, not there yet. I'm going with Jeremy Stephens.
Ooh, really?
I think he's got just enough left to take on someone like a Drakkar Klose, that borderline top 15 level guy. I'm actually going to go with a second round KO TKO for Jeremy Stephens.
I could definitely see it, but I'm leaning toward Drakkar Klose here. I think this guy has a lot of potential, a lot of upside, a high ceiling, very athletic. He's fought at featherweight as well, but seems to just feel more comfortable at lightweight. And I think he's going to get the job done here. Stephens has just been through the ringer, man. You can only take this punishment for so long in this game. So I'm going to Drakkar Klose KO TKO round 3.
Okay.
I think we're going to have a really good fight. Close to fight of the night, but we got a hell of a main event to talk about. But I just, like you said, if Steven loses here, it might just be the end of the line. If he wins, shit, the guy's probably going to just keep fighting, man, and keep fighting killers. Because he's probably going to fight a ranked guy just because of his name value at this point. So it should be a fun one, but yeah, I'm going close in that one.
Okay.
The young up-and-comer. I picked the vet in the fight before. I'm going the young guy in this one. So.
you have to give the young guys their win back. Main event time. Robert Whittaker, Kelvin Gastelum. I think it's our second time talking about Whittaker.
And Kelvin.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Kelvin's coming in short notice here. Just fought Ian Heinisch. And I just wanted to say again, and we've said this multiple times, I think this fight is better stylistically and more fan-friendly and fun and more competitive than the original booking of Whittaker-Costa. I really do, and we're going to tell you why. So Robert Whittaker, the former middleweight king, 22 wins, 5 losses, 13-3 in the UFC. He's got 9 KO TKOs, 5 submissions. 5 of those finishes have came in the first round, with wins against Brad Tavares via KO, decision over Uriah Hall, a TKO over Derek Brunson, TKO over Jacare Souza, beat Yoel Romero twice, once via unanimous decision, once via split decision. Both of those fights absolutely insane. A decision win over Darren Till, and he looked incredible in his most recent fight with Jared Cannonier at UFC 254. Notable losses: Court McGee via split decision way back before he became a middleweight. Got TKO'd by Wonderboy as well, also at welterweight. And his only loss at middleweight to the current middleweight champion, Israel Adesanya, via KO in front of the largest audience in UFC history in Australia. On the other end, Kelvin Gastelum, 16 wins, 6 losses, 1 no contest, 11-6 with a no contest in the UFC. 6 KO TKOs, 4 submissions, 5 of those have came in the first round, with notable wins against Uriah Hall via split decision, Rick Story via split decision, got submitted by Jake Ellenberger, TKO'd by Nate Marquardt, lost a decision to Johnny Hendricks, won a decision over Johnny Hendricks, TKO'd Tim Kennedy, KO'd Bisping brutally at that show over there in China, split decision over Jacare Souza, and then the decision win most recently over Ian Heinisch. Before that, was on that 3-fight skid, the first one being to Israel Adesanya in an absolute battle, the fight of the year for 2019. Then he loses to Darren Till in what was Till's debut at middleweight, a back-and-forth technical chess match, and then another loss to Jack Hermanson via heel hook. So, he's coming off that bounce-back win to Ian Heinisch, but this is a big step. Big step. Robert Whittaker, especially Whittaker 2.0, is looking mighty fine right now, mighty dangerous. How do you see this going, Noah?
I don't think it's so simple. You know, it's styles make fights, right?
Yeah.
You see Whittaker, he has made improvements in his game, no doubt, since he lost the belt to Adesanya. But he's going up against a guy who took Adesanya to the brink, to the absolute limit.
So much so that Izzy had to say he was willing to die in that cage in the 5th round.
And you know what? I think he was pretty close to doing it. I think he was pretty close to dying in that cage that night. And That means something. That's always why when I see Kelvin like on this 3-fight skid, I'm always like, where's that guy?
Yeah.
Where's the guy who took Stylebender to the brink before Blachowicz was the closest to really beating him in his career? He looked really good against Heinisch.
And again, I said at the beginning, I'm going to say it again now. We saw the grappling from Kelvin that we haven't seen in years at that amount.
I always said I thought that's why he was able to get in close with Adesanya. Mm-hmm. I think the threat of the takedown
was at least in his mind.
I just don't think that Kelvin held up in that regard against Darren Till. Darren Till, amazing takedown defense. I don't think he had a care in the world about Kelvin's takedowns, and that's why you saw the fight play out the way it did. Kelvin very sloppy in his takedowns in that fight. Then you look at the Jack Hermanson fight where he's kind of being a bit lackadaisical.
It was just weird.
Hermanson had a submission, Kelvin got out and then put himself right back into the submission. It looked like mentally he was just checked out. But Heinisch fight looked good. Whittaker, however, has looked great since he lost to, just bouncing back from where he left off after losing the belt. You saw that fight with Darren Till. You looked at the fight with Jared Cannonier.
Yeah, man, he looked
even Cannonier, who kind of hurt him late, Whittaker was still just on fire.
He's a dog, man.
And that's really going to be this fight, I think. Dog versus dog.
This is fight of the night.
I think it's fight of the night. I think it's going to be a 5-round war. I think Kelvin's going to show prove a lot of people wrong. Because I think a lot of people are looking at this fight as a bit of a squash. I think Whittaker's going to be taken to the brink here. But I still think he gets it done. I'm going Robert Whittaker via decision.
I'm the exact same boat. I think Whittaker gets this done via decision over the course of 5 rounds. This is going to be such a fun fight. Whittaker, the guy that's real quick, athletic, bounces on the feet, in and out really fast. Kelvin, the guy that really has the power, and it can kind of just come out of nowhere, but he's still patient enough. And, Whittaker only gets hit so often, but he has shown his weaknesses when he gets hit. Obviously he got KO'd by Izzy, but he got knocked down in the Till fight, injured, a little wobbly in the Cannonier fight. So that's 3 fights in a row. The chin's at least been tested. Kelvin's going to test it again here, but Whittaker's going to stay composed, get the job done with that. His striking is just so hard to describe, but so accurate and quick and comes at you from all kinds of angles, and the combinations that he can match up with his kicks that come out of nowhere. Such a special athlete. Both of these guys still under the age of 30, which is mind-boggling to me when you look at their resumes and all that they've accomplished. And they both have so much more to accomplish in this game. But at UFC Vegas 24, Whittaker comes out on top, makes it 3 fights in a row, and at least you would think can't be denied any longer. But we'll discuss that on Monday.
Yeah, agreed. That's it for our preview for #UFC Vegas 24. It should be really fun. Do you have the start times for
7 p.m. East Coast, East Standard Time on ESPN, the network. For the prelims, main card starts at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN, the network, and ESPN Plus if you want to watch it.
So check out those fights on Saturday. Monday, we will be recapping all the action we just talked about, along with some notables from the prelims. Wednesday, gonna be a little bit extra special.
Oh yeah,
we're taking a trip.
This is fun. We're taking a lot of trips.
Yeah,
a lot of
really. We're gonna take a look back on all of the 3 title fight cards that the UFC has had in history. There's 7 of them,
soon to be 8,
and we're just gonna look at those events as they were. Did they live up to the hype? Did they not? What happened to the people in those title fights? All that and in between should be really fun. And then obviously Friday, preview time again, but this time for another 3 title fight card.
Yes.
That's why we're doing this.
Do you understand?
UFC 261, 3 title fights, going to be amazing. But until then, Dominic, tell the good people where they can find you on social media.
Twitter and Instagram at Diesley14. Find the podcast, more importantly, on Twitter, on Instagram at BAJ_MMA podcast. We'll see y'all on Monday. But he says that too, but that's me saying it. I will see y'all on Monday. You get it. Noah, talk.
And as for me, if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram at ntbaker_, you'll be taken to our link tree, which gives you the links to all the platforms that the podcast is on, along with social media platforms. That includes the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, and Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. It's all on there, baby. And there's a couple links for the Anchor page. First, leaving a voice message. If you have a thought about an upcoming fight, news story, if you just want to say hi or tell us we're a piece of shit, you got 60 seconds to do it at that link. And there's a link if you want to become a supporter of the podcast. That just provides us with a few dollars a month. All that money goes back into improving the quality of the podcast, whether it be audio equipment or down the line doing a video podcast. So again, you can find all of that if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram at ntbaker_. But with that, we're out. We'll see y'all on